Your brain can recognize a face in just 130 milliseconds, faster than a blink. But there's one type of human-looking thing your brain instantly rejects. Not because it's ugly, because it's too human. So human that before you even process what you're looking at, your spine already feels cold. Most people think this is just psychology. It's not. It's an ancient survival scar carved into your DNA over 2 million years ago. Back then, the African continent wasn't ruled by one human species. There were at least 6 different kinds of upright, human-like creatures walking the same land at the same time. Some hunted your children in the dark. Some looked so much like you that, at first glance, you'd mistake them for your own kind, until they started walking toward you. And suddenly, something felt wrong. 6 different human-like species competing for the same territory. So when you get chills looking at a wax figure today, that's not you being dramatic. That's a 2 million-year-old alarm system going off inside your nervous system. But here's the terrifying part. Only one of those species survived. And the species that wiped out the others might have been your ancestors. The discovery of the Uncanny Valley. In 1970, a Japanese robotics professor named Masahiro Mori noticed something strange. The more human a robot looked, the more people liked it. But only up to a certain point. Because once it became almost human, but not perfectly human, people's reactions suddenly crashed. Not gradual discomfort, not mild unease, a complete emotional freefall. The feeling wasn't weird. It was visceral, like revulsion leaking straight out of your bones. Mori gave this phenomenon a name, the Uncanny Valley. And it doesn't just happen with robots, wax figures, hyper-realistic CGI characters, human prosthetics, AI-generated faces. Anything that looks almost human, but misses by just a fraction, can trigger the same reaction. Studies found that these nearly human faces can produce stronger adrenaline responses than horror movies. In some experiments, people reacted more intensely to uncanny human faces than to scenes from actual scary films. So here's the real question. Why would a phenomenon officially named in 1970 activate such ancient survival instincts? Our ancestors never saw robots, which means this fear system was never designed for machines. It was designed for something much older. Something our species encountered millions of years before technology ever existed. 2 million years ago, the real horror. Travel back 2 million years to East Africa. Your ancestor, Homo erectus, had only recently begun walking upright. And standing upright didn't make you king of the world. Saber-toothed cats waded in tall grass. Hippos could literally bite a person in half. Most early humans weren't hunters. Most were prey. But the most dangerous creatures weren't the animals. It was the other things that looked human. Homo erectus shared the world with several close relatives. Homo habilis, Australopithecines, Paranthropus. Other human-like species that looked familiar enough to confuse you, but behaved differently enough to terrify you. Imagine returning from a hunt at dusk. You spot figures in the distance. At first, they look like your people. But as they get closer, something feels off. Their movements, their expressions, the way they stare at you. In that world, mistaking another species for your own could get you killed. And then things become even darker. Some ancient hominids were barely over 4 feet tall, with chimp-sized brains, yet still walked upright like humans. Picture sitting beside a fire while your children play nearby. You glance up. A thin, human-like figure is approaching your child. By the time you grab a stone weapon and run toward it, both are gone into the darkness. Parents 2 million years ago weren't afraid of online predators. They were afraid of literal predators that looked almost human. The ghosts hidden inside modern DNA. And the chaos didn't stop there. Fast forward several 100,000 years. Modern humans, Homo sapiens, arrive. Did the world become simpler? No. It became even stranger. In Africa, there may have been species like Homo naledi, with brains one-third the size of ours, yet possibly capable of ritual burials. Then scientists uncovered evidence of something even more disturbing. A completely unknown human species. No fossils. No tools. No skeletons. Nothing. And yet its DNA still exists inside living people today. In 2020, researchers studying West African populations found that between 2% and 19% of some genomes may come from an unidentified archaic human species. We had children with a species we cannot even name. Its only trace survives inside human cells. That means modern humans once shared the planet with entire populations that vanished so completely. History forgot they ever existed. Except your DNA didn't. The other humans we erased. Once humans left Africa, the encounters became even more intense. In Europe, we met the Neanderthals. Forget the old museum stereotypes. They weren't stupid cavemen. Their brains were actually larger than ours on average. They used tools, controlled fire, buried their dead, and they were likely twice as muscular as modern humans. If one grabbed your wrist, yours would probably snap first. Today, almost every non-African person on Earth still carries about 1 to 2% Neanderthal DNA, which means part of you is not technically Homo sapiens. Further east were the Denisovans. We barely know what they looked like. Scientists only found fragments, a few teeth and a finger bone. Yet some modern populations in Melanesia still carry up to 6% Denisovan DNA. And in Indonesia, there were the so-called Hobbits, Homo floresiensis, barely over 3 feet tall. Tiny brains, still capable of making tools and using fire. And they survived until around 50,000 years ago. Think about that. While your ancestors were painting cave art, another species of tiny humans still existed somewhere else on Earth. Why the Uncanny Valley terrifies you. Scientists have proposed several explanations for the Uncanny Valley. And honestly, each one gets more disturbing. 1. Your brain thinks it's looking at a corpse. A freshly dead body still looks human. The skin is intact. The face is recognizable. But something is missing. The eyes no longer move. The chest no longer rises. It's still a person's face, without a person behind it. That may be the ultimate source of uncanny horror. Not human, but not human. But something that was human and no longer is. That's why horror movies rely on pale skin, unnatural movement, and lifeless facial expressions. They attack one of the oldest danger signals buried in the human brain. You're not scared of ghosts. You're scared of dead faces pretending to be alive. 2. Disease avoidance. 2 million years ago, there were no doctors, no medicine. If someone's skin changed color, if their movements became strange, if their eyes lost focus, those visual cues could mean infection, and infection meant death. Your brain evolved to instantly avoid anything that looked biologically wrong. 3. Ancient tribal recognition. And this theory may be the most unsettling of all. Before language, flags, or uniforms existed, humans still needed to answer one critical question instantly. Is this one of us? The shape of the brow, the angle of a smile, the way shoulders moved while walking. Tiny facial differences could determine whether the creature approaching you was family or a killer from another species. Get it wrong, and you die. So the human brain evolved an extreme facial recognition system. Anything that landed inside the category of looks human, but not quite right, was automatically flagged as dangerous. Not because we're irrational, because for most of human history, that reaction kept our ancestors alive. The darkest possibility. Now comes the final question. Did this instinct help drive every other human species to extinction? Because wherever modern humans arrived, other human species disappeared. Neanderthals vanished. Denisovans vanished. Homo floresiensis vanished. Every human-like species that once shared this planet with us disappeared. No exceptions. So maybe the Uncanny Valley isn't just a psychological quirk. Maybe it's a fossilized memory of an ancient war. A survival mechanism forged during millions of years of competition between human species. And you? You are the descendant of the only branch that survived. Today, Neanderthals are gone. Denisovans are gone. The tiny Hobbits are gone. But the system remains. That's why a motionless wax figure still makes your skin crawl. Why an AI-generated face online can feel disturbing even when you know it's fake. That tiny hesitation you feel. That split-second instinctive fear. It's not overreacting. It's the voice of your ancestors echoing across 2 million years, whispering, "Be careful." The last people who saw faces like that didn't come back alive.